Hello and welcome to Varieties of Slice of Life. As always, I am Anthony, and joining me today is the lovely Zach.
Hello.
And Jared is back from the Shadow Realm.
Salutations, Internet. I only have minor burns this time.
We are a bi-monthly podcast. If this is your first time joining us, we post on the 1st and 15th of every month, talking about a specific anime or a broad subject. Today we're going to be talking about the worst animes, tropes, and characters. Oh boy, so this is the one that's going to wrap up the end of the year. We're going to start off strong in 2020 with the best characters and best animes and just all around good shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of anime out there, like a lot. I'd probably wager that's a good chunk of all the animation just in existence is just anime. So there's bound to be a lot of shit. There's bound to be a lot of good. There's bound to be a lot of shit. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about this. Something that Jarrett has seen that I'm just not a huge fan of. It might just be because I just was too young to get it, I guess. But it was Inuyasha. I don't know. It might have just been the fact that it's like older, and I was pickier back then. But I couldn't stand it. It was so slow paced for me.
I mean, I can understand, like I said, because we were talking about this slightly earlier, that I watched Inuyasha when I was like 5, because I would catch it on the tail end of Adult Swim at like 4 in the morning. Because for some reason I would wake up super early as a kid. I don't know why. I had to go to school every day, and for some reason I just wake up that early and just watch anime. But I mean, there's a period I think where, like, when you're a kid that when you watch something, you're not like watching it, if that makes sense. You're not like engaged in it. You're just watching it because it's something that's on. So for a lot of things, like when I was that young, that is just how a lot of things were. Like, because I remember Inuyasha, but I don't like remember like any like major like plot thing for Inuyasha.
Do you? I mean, it still had a couple like cool characters. Like, there was the girl that had like the weird hair thing.
You're going to be much more specific.
Well, like her whole thing is like she had like very strong hair that she could control.
Yukiko? Was that the one that...
Kind of.
Was that the one that was...
It wasn't like off of her head.
Inuyasha, or...
I think so. I have vague memories of it because it is older. Like, you know, that I watched. It was one of the first that I watched, but...
Yeah.
And it's probably, if I went back and rewatched it, I'd probably either like it more or still hate it, if not like a lot more. But I could see myself liking it a bit better because of the immaturity that I've got.
Even as a kid, like there were still like things I liked. It was more like characters, because like I remember the one. What they call him? There was like some guy from like a wolf clan. I remember weirdly though, he was dressed kind of like a Super Saiyan.
I'm trying to remember.
He like was really after I forget a lot of the characters' names. It was the schoolgirl. He was really after her in Inuyasha, and him kept constantly getting in fights.
Oh, okay.
He would act straight up like a wolf, and he's just like, he's a dude, but he's like one of those like the spirit of a wolf kind of thing, so he still acts like a wolf.
Yeah.
So he's super like protective of her over no reason, just because he likes her.
Yeah, it's also very pretty too. I've actually forgotten how nice it looks.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the things that like I still remember the animation, even though yes, it's one of those older ones that like sometimes you look at older ones, it's like, ah man, this is a good show, but the animation it's old. There's not much you can do about that.
Yeah.
So what did you not like about it exactly? Was it just...
I guess
because I know you said like the pacing and everything, but...
I don't know. I guess it was just because my experiences with it up to that... Like, my experiences with the anime up to that point were Cowboy Bebop and Bleach. And so I was, I guess, used to more action, extreme shit. Like, crazy stuff going on. Or, like, space. Like, because to me this was like a mythical fantasy land, but there wasn't like a whole lot of crazy stuff going on. It was a little bit, I don't know, it felt like a lot more slow paced stuff, but I might just be remembering like the outer world, not like the weird demon world, but the other one, like the basic world that they went to every now and then. Because if I remember right, they travel back and forth between the two. Again, might be totally wrong, but this is just what I'm remembering. I just remember not liking it a whole lot.
I also caught a few episodes on Toonami back in the day, and I just wasn't interested. Like, I felt the same with Cowboy Bebop. I just was not interested. Like, I would watch the same, like, episodes over and over, and I just wasn't interested.
That's the hair girl, by the way.
Inuyasha's weird, just like when it comes to just just from that writer, because it's not like really anything. It's like one of probably their most popular work, but it's not like anything that's before there, and not anything that's like after.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the staple. Like, what else has she done? Because I know
Ranma Half, which is like the anime that I mentioned this in our harem ecche thing, that it was essentially the anime that created harem anime.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
And then also Rene, which like kind of like similar character setup as Inuyasha, but like it doesn't take itself as seriously.
I think another thing I might not like too much is just the character design of Inuyasha himself. I'm not really a huge fan of the color red to begin with. Like, it has to be used kind of sparingly, but like
the fact that he's just coated.
It is fucking toes to tits, fucking red. And then he has like a weird mullet too, which I don't know. Or he has like a male Hime cut in a way.
He just has really long hair.
It's really
he also
messy.
Has dog ears, so
yeah. I don't know. Like the girl, her design is fine. It's typical anime girl, but like I don't know. I never really liked his design too much.
It was like very like also like I don't even really remember it very well, but I remember their dynamic not being very interesting. Where it's like he does something dumb and she like hits him or some.
She tells him to sit, and the fucking necklace forces him to slam on the ground.
Oh, haha, funny. The other like.
I remember that in the beginning it was like that, but later on it does get better, I think. Like most things with two main characters.
I do have to say, you gone?
I was just gonna say, I'm like the villains weren't too memorable for me either. I might have not have gotten far enough to like see the permanent villain, but like the villains were just kind of gone after they got defeated.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I like shows that have like a set main villain that is like the head honcho of fucking everything.
There's like one thing about Inuyasha that like stuck with me is just that I love is the one dude's power where he just like has the black hole or whatever in his hand, and like I just liked the way he like had it wrapped up. Like I always thought that was cool, and like that's still one of my favorite character designs of like anything. It's just like a character who has something like wrapped up on their body. Usually it goes with like chunies, but he wasn't a chunie, and he literally had to keep it wrapped up, unlike chunies.
What if the very last episode of Inuyasha that never got released was just they're all just like school children that are just like playing a game?
God.
Oh, that'd be great. But yeah, so I guess it's just character design and it being older. So I guess if it got remade, it might be better in my opinion. But
I like the art. I like the art style. I have a fascination with like 90s anime like style.
Mm-hmm. I just say like to a certain degree, I don't have a preference for like age on animes. Like, obviously, I like the newer stuff, like seeing things like Part 4, JoJo, and then just the stuff like Beastars and No Gun Life. Like they're really good and fantastic animation, but then there's stuff like Cowboy Bebop, and then there's Inuyasha that has like that older kind of like 90s, early 2000s look that it's very distinct almost, that you can kind of mark animes around the decade that they were kind of made, which I kind of like and can appreciate.
Yeah, like I love like it's just something about like 90s anime that just has like a flavor to it. Like I love like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like,
Is it the grainy?
Yeah.
Is it the graininess? Because I know for some things like the grain for like the older TVs and whatnot, it was just kind of a signature almost.
Yeah, and also like 90s anime music is so fucking good. Like Smile Bomb for Yu Yu Hakusho is the best fucking anime opening ever.
So I guess we could transition slightly into a newer anime that none of us necessarily like. We have problems with, which is Sword Art Online. Bad. I think what it kind of boils down to, from what we were talking about earlier, is it's bad main characters, including villains, but the side characters and the world isn't too bad.
Yeah, like I do want to preference this because me and Zach we agree that there are parts of Sword Art that we like, but overall, unfortunately, it gets drowned out by a lot of the bad. So like the actual setting and a lot of the side characters, and for me, like the entire second half of the second season, are great. But unfortunately, a lot of that gets drowned out by a bad main character, villains who end up all being bad and the same, but not like the good kind of bad guy bad, just not good.
I mean, let me give
it's hard to phrase that.
Let me give the rundown of the 3 villains of the first 2 seasons of Sword Art Online. First villain doesn't have any motivations. Literally does not even a badly written his motivations are. He literally doesn't have any because he doesn't remember his own motivations. Second, rapey bad guy. Third, rapey bad guy.
I keep forgetting about the first guy. The guy who actually makes the game, I keep forgetting about him.
Yeah,
because
I don't remember him as a villain.
He doesn't remember himself as a villain.
And that plot twist of him being revealed as like the head of that one clan was so stupid and just it didn't add anything. And then fucking what is it? Is it Kirito or is it Kirito? How the fuck do you pronounce his name?
It's either.
Oh yeah,
I've heard both.
Fucking Vanilla Toast, my man, who has the... See, okay, my problem with Sword Art Online is that was the first isekai I ever watched. And so I didn't know that it was bad, so I was like, yeah, this isn't too bad. I guess it's okay.
Similar. Like, that honestly was one of the first... Technically, I guess Inuyasha was one, but this is the first one that I was actively watching.
Same.
So, like, I was aware of everything that was going on, not just, hey, it's fun, cool fight scenes going on. Yeah, and then like I found other stuff, like you find stuff like Konosuba, and you just find all this other stuff that's like you go back and watch it, it's like, oh, this is not that great.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like a lot of the side characters are really, I don't want to say well written, but they're very decently developed with like their motives and how they
or at
act
the very
and
least,
stuff.
They're interesting.
Yeah, their character design's also really nice looking too.
Because like even though she gets like no screen time, I like the blacksmith girl, the girl with the pink hair, Liz.
Yeah,
Elizabeth. I like her. She gets like no screen time though.
Yeah, her.
I find her way more interesting than a lot of people in that entire first season.
Yeah, like her and the Dragon Girl, I like their episodes. It's just like I was just like, what's the point of them even being characters if they serve nothing to the plot after then? They're just like Kirito's like side bitches that don't do anything. Like they literally do nothing.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, they add nothing to the plot like ever, but like their episode, like their individual episodes are good. They're some of the best episodes of the Sword Art Online arc.
Yeah, like I found, like especially with season 1, that like the episodes that aren't focused on Kirito are actually fairly good episodes, even though he's in them.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But when you go back to the main story and it's just about him and just following him, it's very boring. It's just not interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
honestly.
I mean, it's a lot of good parts. Like the Black Cat Guild is like probably the best part of that whole arc. Like the guild that Kirito joins and they all die horribly, and then like Kirito's depressed about because the one girl died.
Yeah.
And then I mean, you got like the fucking whole weird subplot where he gets like a daughter for a while. It was really good.
Oh, yeah,
okay, that brings up my entire other issue with him.
Can we talk about the hacking scene?
Oh god.
That's part of it. That's part of it. Just how this character, who is, as far as we know, just a regular kid who likes to play these video games, is never mentioned at all. And then suddenly he has these crazy powers in-game and out of game that affect the in-game that he never mentions once, never is brought up again, but somehow he has them in the plot moment that he needs them. The hacking scene, the fact that there's like, oh, he can dual wield.
Dual wield.
Why is this so special? If you just go from like a normal like RPG or MMO kind of thing, dual wielding is not that special. Why is it randomly special in this? In something that is supposed to be like a very generic kind of RPG.
Like, it would have made it better if it hindered his defense and like he was just a glass cannon. But no, he's just a fucking good fighter and he can deflect with the fucking swords too.
Yeah, like
if they would have made it like, oh, he doesn't use a shield, so he's really open to it, like ranged attacks and like all this other shit. It's like, no, they'd never fucking bring it up.
Yeah. I don't even think I see anyone use like a range attack in that show. Like everyone's just going in with sword and shield.
It would have been cooler if it was like the enemies had like crossbows and he's like fucking useless because he can't get close to him.
No, well, you can't say that because of the Gun Gale arc where he beats everybody with a lightsaber. I hate it.
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Just, oh yeah, no one uses that because it's not good. He wields it and suddenly it's the most fantastic thing in the world. What?
I feel like Sword Art would like they started with an idea and then just kept going when they shouldn't have.
Like, my biggest issue with Kirito is that he suffers from what, I don't think it's actually called this, but it's Superman syndrome. Whereas he has whatever power he needs at that exact moment.
It's like Star Platinum.
Superman, for the longest time, he just had whatever power he needed.
Oh yeah,
at
Golden
that
Era
moment.
Superman.
Exactly. The only power that he didn't have was one that he didn't know he needed. That is what Kirito has in Sword Art. Like, being able to dual wield. Randomly being able to hack into the system and save... Was she an AI?
Yeah.
She was an AI, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just be able to save an AI from being deleted from the game. Because he basically was somehow corrupting it.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Also, the fact that he knew immediately where to find it was like...
Yeah, knowing where to find it, even though he'd never been in there before, just... There are just so many things. There's so many things that he can do that he shouldn't be able to, but just because he's the main character, he can. And it just... Like, if they gave any explanation as to why he knew this, if they had started from the beginning, like, hey, he's trained to be a developer. Okay, I can slightly suspend my disbelief a little bit more with that. But no, it's just completely out of left field. And then the second scene, they start explaining that now he wants to try and develop and make games. What?
Remember at the beginning where they like make a big deal that he's something called a beater, and then they never talk about that ever again?
Oh yeah, the fact that he was both a cheater and a beta tester?
Yeah, and then they never talk about it again. Like,
that's brought up for what, 2 episodes?
Yeah.
Like the first episode and then maybe the episode after that?
They make a big deal at it like right at the beginning, but then they never talk about it again.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. And he just kind of, I don't know why he just buys into the whole thing and just kind of becomes a smug asshole and just kind of goes off on his own. I still don't get it.
I don't know. And then I don't remember any traits about the fucking female lead. I remember nothing about her other than he likes her, kind of. And she's kind of a bitch.
There's not a lot going on with Asuna. Like her art,
No.
like her standalone arc was really good. That's about it.
That's the one. That's the second half of season 2, right? Her
Yeah.
standalone one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that one is good. That's the first time that I feel like she actually becomes like a character that I care about. So up until then, just kind of another person with Kirito's gaggle of people.
Yeah, and doesn't she get like kidnapped and he has to go like save her or some shit?
Yeah, it's
and
the entire
that's the
second
entire-
arc of the first season.
Yeah. Is after they're saved from the game, she's still stuck in whatever this new game is by rapey villain number 1. Or villain number 2, sorry. I still forget about the first villain, so 'cause technically this guy's 2. Yeah, and then he ends up having to go into real life and stab a dude.
Yeah, okay, that's a cool scene though. It's like the whole thing. Plays a sword fighter in a game for him to actually have to enter a real fight with real weapons. Is kind of fucking cool concept.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think would be kind of cool to see? I don't know if it'd be good, but it'd be kind of interesting to see. Is like an OVA about the world outside of the video game when that happens.
Yeah, because they touched on that very briefly. There was like a lot of people died, and then if family or people did make it to them, they just kind of put them on life support and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, he fucking wakes up in the hospital at some point. So, like, people panicking, like, trying to take their helmets off and accidentally killing their relatives. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be fucked up and it'd be, like, insanely dark, but it'd be really cool. Because, I mean, that's something that I love is, like, lore in the world that gets mentioned but never explained, like, fully. Like, it's like, there's shit happening in the world, but we're focused on another story part right now.
And actually, Zach, you bringing up the whole him having to fight in the real world, you'll probably remember this because I hate it. And I don't know why I hate it, but I dislike it so much. The very beginning of Season 2, he instinctually goes for his sword, but he's in the real life. This is well after that entire fight and everything. And he's just like, I forget why he was even having to draw it. Like, why he thought he needed to draw out his sword, but he just, like, goes to grab it, and he's just like, oh, right, I'm in the real world. I'm sorry, what? It's like, I get it, you've been in the game, but at this point, at the beginning of Season 2, you haven't been in the virtual world for a while. Like, you've been able to leave and have a real life for a while. The muscle memory shouldn't be that strong at that point. Can I also just say that the only other male guy in that group, his potential is totally wasted in that group.
I don't remember who that is.
He's such a good character though, but he gets
I
no
know.
screen time.
Oh,
He's
the bandana guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, not
He's
bandana.
a much better
thing.
main character, but he's just completely overshadowed because he's just with Kirito, sadly. Like, if they made a side story about him, I would watch it. That'd be good. I like that dude.
Like, just the weird, like, it bothers me so much about Sword Art Online. It's like, just like they have, like, I've never seen an anime with where they dangle the side characters in your face but don't do anything with them. Like, they just don't do anything at all.
Yeah, if they're not like a damsel in distress or in danger or just helping him fight, they don't do anything. They don't add anything to the story.
It's like the Kirito and Asuna show plus friends.
It's like they have to have other characters to move the plot forward, so they just make characters.
Yeah, like, it's just, I've never had a show where the side characters have been so interesting, but the main characters have been so milquetoast and just bland that. But then, like Zach said, they don't even get like their own stuff. Like, the two of the characters get their own episode in the beginning, but then some of the characters, they just don't get anything. And like you said, they just dangle these characters in front of us that are way more interesting than the main characters, but we don't get anything for them. Yeah. And I don't know how a show manages to make such interesting side characters, but make their main character so boring and bullshit, for lack of a better term, overpowered or whatnot, because all Kirito is boring because he's so strong. and not strong in a good way or funny like One Punch Man or anything like that. He's just boring and powerful.
And again, like that defense thing that I brought up, I literally thought of that in the moment, and that would make his character like a million times more complex because now he's. Yeah. It would even show like how his character is, where he doesn't think of anything; he just goes in fucking full force.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You never once see like him have any kind of weakness whatsoever. I can't name like one time at all in that show where I thought, yeah, no, he may die here.
Yeah, even during the very final like big fight in the first season, I was like, yeah, he's gonna be fine. Everybody else, I don't know, but he'll be fine.
I mean,
exactly.
Like in the episode with the Dragon Girl, like he gets in a fight against like 6 guys, and they make a big point to the fact that like Kirito automatically heals faster than they can hurt him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like, oh.
Yeah, it also helps that the writer doesn't know anything about video games, but decided to write a light novel series that's about video games. Like, if you just think about it like the way the video games function, it's just like really bad. Like, there's a lot like wrong with this.
Yeah, no, there's a lot.
It's a lot like also like it makes me sad that like this is like written by the same. I think this is written by the same guy who wrote Excel World, which is sad because I actually love Excel World. It's also set in the same universe.
Is it really?
Yeah, like they actually make a point that like the stuff they use in Excel World, like they use like the virtual reality stuff they use in Excel World is like is essentially like based on the tech of the Nerf gear.
That's kind of weird.
Also
weird.
Also, like another interesting thing in this, there's a Sword Art Online movie, and in that movie they go to a restaurant called Waganaria, which Waganaria is the restaurant from Working, my favorite anime.
Are the characters in it, or is it just like?
No, it's just a branch of it. So like they go to
fucking funny.
So my favorite anime is set in the same universe as.
It's a prequel to Sword Art Online.
So like here's the timeline. The timeline is Working, Sword Art Online, Excel World.
It's like as complicated as like the Sandler verse at this point. Yeah, another. I guess it's not necessarily bad. Like, a lot of people like Naruto, but I kind of feel like just a lot of aspects of Naruto are really bad. Like, the message of the story is just shit.
Oh, that friendship conquers all.
Well, that, and it doesn't matter who you are, you can, train to become the strong. Like, it's about
even though that's a total lie for Naruto.
Yeah, it's like his whole thing is like, I got to become the strongest, even though I'm starting literally at the bottom of the totem pole. It's like, you have a demigod in your stomach right now, motherfucker.
Yeah, he has a demigod in his stomach, and also within the demigods, he has the strongest one because he has the 9-tailed fox.
Yeah. Like, Plague of Gripes really described this well when he was like, oh yeah, no, Naruto should not have been the main character. Rock Lee should have been the main character. And I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Dude, Rock Lee was so good. Like, the whole thing, like, Rock Lee, like, breaking his leg was so fucking interesting. Like, that's such a... Because you rarely see stuff like that. For, like, Rock Lee to be out of commission for so long, his leg got broken was, like, interesting. And then just for him to, like, at the end of the Sasuke retrieval arc to just, like, yeah, I'm going in, and he fights the bone guy.
And I mean, I love the creativity in Naruto. Like, everybody has a unique ability in some way. The way that they market it is kind of weird, because it seems like most of the techniques anybody could learn, just nobody else does. Like, that's why I like JoJo in a way, I guess, is because everyone's like, oh yeah, no, these are all unique powers regardless. It's very rare for somebody to have a matching ability.
Yeah.
But in Naruto, it's like every fucking fight is like, oh, he has this crazy unique ability. How the hell does he have a unique ability like that? It's like, no, It's very, very common for a unique ability to pop up.
Yeah, it's like a lot of characters like use other people's powers. Like Naruto's like signature move, the Rasengan, he learns from someone else. Like Sasuke uses Chidori, which I think he learned from Kakashi. And then Naruto uses Shadow Clone a lot. He just learned that.
And nobody. It's weird to me that nobody else knows Shadow Clone. Like I get it's a high level thing, but the fact that nobody else uses it is kind of weird.
Yeah, and also they make a big point of like one of Naruto's like big moves is the combination of Shadow Clone and Rasengan. I was like, couldn't just like anybody just like do something like that? Just Shadow Clone and some other move, and it'll be ultra powerful.
Like I actually really do appreciate how Naruto does combinations of powers like that. Because like a lot of the time, like when a character gets a new ability, it doesn't combine with any of their other thing. Like Bleach is really guilty of that. Where like the main character will get a new ability, and it's either just a straight up power boost, or it is a completely different ability that does not add to his main power source in any way. But Naruto's like, no, fuck you. We're combining everything to have this demigod, multiple clone jutsu, Rasengan, fucking Giga Bomb.
Also, I like at least like Naruto's like kind of like consistent with like their jokes. Like I think like I watched a clip of like really late into Shippuden where I think they're fighting like I think it's like when they're fighting like essentially the main villain, and they use the fucking sexy jutsu thing again. like cause it's like him and Sasuke do the Shadow Clone sexy jutsu combination, but they call it reverse harem jutsu, and they're all just a bunch of handsome boys, and it works.
Huh.
It's actually a pretty funny scene, because like I think Kakashi and Sakura are there as well. Like Sakura's like bleeding out of her nose, the villain's bleeding out of her nose, and Kakashi's like, what the fuck? And like Sasuke, like Naruto's like super into it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And Sasuke's like, this is stupid. I hate this.
It is definitely I guess my problem is with it is it's just one of the big three where it just never really ended when it should have.
Oh yeah. Well,
like Naruto should have had an end, and it kind of did, but it just kept going after that point.
Yeah.
Now we have his son Burrito.
And God.
I thought Baruto was a girl for the longest time, and then when I learned it was a guy, I was like, oh, okay.
I just realized we've been making the mistake. We've been pronouncing the anime wrong. The anime's pronounced Boruto's dad.
That's right. I'm sorry. Boruto's dad.
It's the correct pronunciation.
Forgive us, people.
Yeah, I was having a discussion with someone about this, and like it bothered me. They were like we were talking about like it was like we were talking about One Piece, and he was just like, One Piece goes on for too long. And I was like, a lot of things like went on for too long. Like Naruto went on for too long. He was like, Naruto didn't go on for too long. I was like, it's like, bitch, Naruto has 2 sequels, and it's like they're not sequels. I was like, yes, they are. They're literally different series. Naruto Shippuden, and Boruto. I was like, those are 2 sequels. It was like, well, there's like then One Piece has sequels because of the time skips. Like, first of all, they had 1 time skip. And second of all, it's the same series still.
Yeah, it's the same main character, like...
Yeah, I was going to say, they didn't add an extra
still,
title onto it.
They didn't accomplish their goal. They're still after their goal.
It's not like One Piece after the sale or anything. It's still One Piece. It's still the same show.
Dude, One Piece after the sale is now my name of my fanfiction.
One Piece after the sale. It's just the fanfiction what takes place after the end. It's just like about the characters' lives and everything. Sora and Usopp retire to a hidden island.
That'd be great. Fuck, I've completely lost my train of thought. Threw me off.
Fanfiction.
Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the 3 main characters, like because Naruto, his problem being he's just born into greatness, and there's no chance of him failing.
Yes.
I hate Sasuke in general.
Yeah.
That's just,
I mean, you either hate Sasuke or you're a teenage girl.
Yeah. And then what's her face is just a useless female that doesn't do fucking anything except for complain and point out what's going on and get kidnapped, I think. She does like two kind of cool things, but everything after that's just useless. Like,
I just realized that like I don't know Sakura's fighting style. Like I know a lot of the side characters' fighting style. Like there's the fucking like sick ass bug dude, Rock Lee, fucking the dude with the dog,
Gaara.
Yeah,
The puppet dude.
Oh yeah, so many cool characters. But it's like, what does Sakura do?
There's a guy who, what's his name? Like Kiba? Does he fight with the dog?
Yeah, that's the dog
or
guy.
Or is Kiba the dog?
Yeah. Remember fucking oh god, what's the guy with the mask's name again? Kakashi. No. Kakashi had like the weird dog scroll that like summoned a bunch of ninja dogs.
Do you all remember when they were fighting in like, was it the Mist Village? The dude with the big sword.
Yeah,
Zabuza.
he was cool.
Yeah, Zabuza. Still favorite villain, even though he gets completely destroyed. Still one of my favorite villains from Naruto.
I love that, like, if you take the end game Naruto, like how he is at the end of a series, and if you were to pin him against him, he would just fucking flick his wrist and the guy would just be dead.
Yeah, it's the Dragon Ball Z like power scaling bullshit, where like they just laterally keep getting stronger, and it just doesn't work for a narrative. Because like, how come every bad guy you encounter is stronger than the last one?
Yeah, and even when you fight the world-ending bad guy, there's always somebody stronger than him. Like,
that's why I like shows that the villains maybe aren't necessarily stronger, but they at least have variety to them.
Like JoJo.
Yeah, like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, I think are very guilty of it, because it's like it always ends up in a one-on-one fight of some kind. But then there's animes where the villain is just like outsmarting him, and then like when you can actually get to him, if you can get to him, he's kind of easy to take down, but it's still, he's been difficult to get to because he's been outsmarting you and being clever and all these other things, not just trying to one-on fight, I'm stronger than you, kill you kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's just why JoJo's good. It's just because it doesn't power scale. Because like power scaling is what. Like I mean, I like Naruto. Like I like Naruto in a sense. Like it's kind of like a guilty pleasure a bit. And I like Dragon Ball, but like power scaling is the worst part of Dragon Ball. Like it kind of like ruins something that could otherwise be like close to perfect.
I mean, a really easy way to fix it is just to end the series, and that's such a difficult concept for a lot of people. Like every good story has an ending. And the people that don't understand that and just continuously add on to the story, like I'm sure One Piece is different because One Piece doesn't really have power scaling to a degree. It has like Luffy's gears and shit, but like, you know, they still encounter different things they have to like strategize against. It has like the JoJo effect in a way. To my knowledge, again, I don't know a whole lot about One Piece, but you know, like shows like Naruto and Dragon Ball, I feel like they should end because it's, you know, you're getting universe destructive levels of bullshit, and it's like,
well, I feel like with shows like that, there's a sliding scale. Like the power level or the power scaling relative to the longevity of the show, they are not proportional. Like if the higher your power creep is, and the longer it goes on, it just, I feel like, makes for poorer quality overall. Because like you said, it's just, how is this guy possibly stronger than the last guy?
Yeah.
That last guy punched a universe out of existence. What can this guy possibly do? And you just keep getting larger and larger and larger until you can't go past that. You can't go to a point that's beyond that.
Bleach. No, go ahead.
You know, just like thinking about like the start of Dragon Ball Z, like Goku dies because he has to full Nelson Raditz while Piccolo shoots a beam through him. Like you know, if you just go to like a Goku later on in Dragon Ball Z, he could just fucking like Mortal Kombat rip out Raditz's heart.
Yeah. Like the moment he goes Super Saiyan, everything previous to that, null and void.
Yeah.
Like every time a Super Saiyan thing happens, that everything that happened to that, it wouldn't have mattered. Which I don't think that's how all power should work. Do I believe that some characters need to get stronger? Yes. But do I think that that form needs to completely null and void every fight that they had previous to that? No.
Bleach has a really weird power scaling thing because the character continuously gets stronger up till a point. Then he develops a new ability that just gives him more power, but it was kind of a natural thing, so he, again, ramps up, and then he kind of plateaus. Then he plateaus until, I'm not kidding, the final fight against the bad guy, where he goes to, like, a different dimension, like the time chamber thing, and trains for, like, a year straight, and is just, like, infinitely stronger. And then he just seems to go back to his normal form after that. Like, for some reason, Kubo did not write the character to be strong enough to defeat the main villain, so he had to come up with some bullshit to fucking fix it.
Like, I don't know, I guess that's just me, where I prefer, actually developing abilities instead of just the old pocket, oh, I'm suddenly stronger now. I think that's why I like My Hero, because my hero, the characters have clearly defined abilities that they can then train to be better or different or used in different ways. They're not just, oh, I suddenly can punch harder, or I can suddenly make bigger explosions. No, you have to train and develop your stuff.
I was like, yeah.
Not just, oh, I nearly got killed by the main villain, but I survived. Now I'm stronger. A la Saiyan, the Saiyan pamphlet.
I was about to say, I wish Ruby did that, then I remember Weiss did that. Like, nobody else in the Ruby gang has really developed just a straight-up stronger semblance, but Weiss has.
It was just like, make your characters, like, horizontally developed, not vertically developed.
Yeah.
It's like, they shouldn't just keep, like, going up in power. They should, like, just become better masters at the things they already have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, real quick, has anybody else in Ruby really developed their semblance any further than...
Not developed? Well, I mean, like, Jean has unlocked his...
I don't count that. I count that as him starting.
Remember when they discussed Yang mastering her semblance, and then she was just like, nah.
She's like, what, nah?
They talked about Yang, like, learning to master her semblance, but she was just like, nah, I don't wanna. And then they didn't.
I don't remember that, but...
I feel like she's trying to do different things with it, but it's still kind of like... Oh, because it was her dad talking about how her semblance is just basically a temper tantrum, and how she doesn't control it, she just kind of goes into it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. And she's like, why? It works for me. And he's like, well, it works until you know that you have a limit. You have a limit.
I mean,
everyone has a limit.
It would have been cool if during the little training montage they gave us last episode against Team Funky, for those that are still caught up, if they would have just shown Yang in, like, that form or something, and people were just, like, beating on her to, like, try to raise the limit or something.
We saw Yang, like,
No, we didn't. We didn't see Yang do anything.
No, we saw,
other than,
we saw Team Juniper, and then we saw Ruby running around with Harriet.
Like,
other than that, we didn't see anyone from Team Ruby do any training.
We didn't see any semblance training. We saw, like, fighting training, but we didn't see any semblance training other than those two things.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it would have been cool. It would have been cool to see Nora just be, like, constantly just, like, being fucking like, just keeps getting, like, not struck by lightning, but just, like, have electricity just constantly flowing through her to see what would happen, or, just, like, them pushing their semblances to the limit, because it's implied that it can get stronger.
Yeah.
Because Weiss is literally given proof of that you can become stronger in this aspect. Mm-hmm. And fucking Winter is, the perfect evolution of that, where she has mastered that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
More things we dislike.
Yeah. We go on tangents where we talk about, well, I mean, it's a good thing. We talk about the bad things but then a show that does it a way that we like it, so that's a good way of explaining that, I guess.
Yeah. I like the dynamic. And even like we said, like for Sword Art, there are things we don't like about Sword Art, but then there are things that we like.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I straight up dislike certain shows just because of their art style. Like, Ghost in a Shell has a decent story and a lot of interesting characters, but I hate the design of almost everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why, like, it's interesting to look at, but it's kind of hard to find like especially with how picky I am, to find like that worst anime or least favorite, because I'm always trying to find something that I like. I may not like all of it, but there's some things I probably like, and then others I don't like. Like one thing with like, I kind of just don't like Mockingjay, but I also just don't really remember anything about it. Its story was not very engaging, nor were its characters, which I think is probably the worst that you can get. If you don't have an emotion towards the anime, I don't think it's done its job.
No.
If you're indifferent about something or don't remember it, clearly it was not worth your time.
You need to gain something from something you've invested time in, whether that's an emotion, a feeling, or just knowledge. It's something you need to. And if you walk away with nothing, then what the fuck was the point?
Like I was just going through my anime list. And I was like there's a lot of anime on my list because I've spent way too much time of my life doing this, and like. No, there are like some like really obscure animes that are like somewhat very like forgettable, and they're like on the corner of my mind, and I can basically remember them, and I was like, yeah, I can kind of remember why I liked this. But then like I look at the bad anime on my list, and then like I just like there's some that are like so bad that I remember them, but then there are some that are just bad and I don't remember them very well. They're just like they're bad and they were forgettable.
Yeah.
I was like at least if you're gonna be bad, give me something to hate about it, like so I can keep thinking about it all the time, Clannad.
Like, there's one show that I think that kind of runs on that line, and that's Hellsing Ultimate. Which for me, like, I like the art style, I like the characters, but the story for that anime goes so nuts. It ends out with Nazi vampires.
Oh, I watched like the first 3 episodes of both the original and the remake. I was not expecting that.
Like, there are characters I like. I like the girl. I like the aspect of the crazy priest. But like the maddening story of that show just goes full bananas, and I could not understand it or follow it. And just it's not great. It's just one of those ones that you're just left with more questions than answers, and you know you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah. And it's okay to not it's okay to like garbage and have guilty pleasures and have something that people think is conventionally bad. Like, there are animes that I fucking adore that everyone hates, and vice versa.
I mean, there are animes that I give low ratings on my list, but I fucking love them because of how dumb they are. Like, I'll never stop loving the trash that is Yuri Kumarashi.
Which one is that?
It's the bear one.
Oh, yeah. The bear Attack on Titan.
I was like, I'll never stop loving it, despite how just god awful it is.
One that is both, one that I have like that, which is terrible but great, is Koichi, the Mightest Deceitful, where it's like, if this was a fantasy anime, this would add so much more depth to it, but the fact that it essentially takes place in the real world kind of holds it back, in my opinion. Where it's like, this guy more or less just has to learn how to fight because of like some shit that's going on. And so he like ends up running into this girl who like, you know, does that fucking karate anime girl thing. It's like, oh, they touch her shoulder, so she does like a fucking suplex on him out of like a reactionary thing. And she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, you know. So he ends up learning like 5 different kinds of martial arts, and like he switches between them mid-fight, and it's really cool. But it's like, they don't do any like crazy anime moves, so it's just like him, just a regular punch, and then the guy kind of falls over instead of like flying backwards or doing something cool, you know. It's like the action could be there, but it's not, so it kind of holds the show back. Plus it's older, so the art style's a little but again, if you like 90s anime, it'd probably be something good for you. Zach, you had something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we talk about Clannad now.
Yeah, let's talk about Clannad, your favorite anime.
Oh.
Well, I guess I should preference that isn't a specific Clannad.
Clannad After Story, to be more specifically. Though I do also dislike Clannad, the original. There are things about Clannad After Story that push above and beyond the garbage-o-meter. Because on my list, I gave Clannad 2 and I gave Clannad After Story 1. Like I had to make that distinction that Clannad After Story is just worse than Clannad, even though I mean, like, when it comes to like the fans' perspective, Clannad After Story is like in their eyes it's better than the original, and like it's one of the highest rated like romance animes of all time. But I just can't stand it. I hate it.
So yeah, you've talked about this before, but why do you hate it specifically? It's the it's the dumbass shit, right? Like the stupid plot and all that stuff.
We have time.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so like, there's a lot I don't like about it. Like, first of all, I hate the main character. The main character is just like, he's so like, he just doesn't really give a shit. Like, he just doesn't really care that much. And like, the thing I hate the most is his relationship with his dad, where like, they kind of try and set up the fact that like he has this strained relationship with his dad, and like the way they show the scene of like his relationship with his dad is he gets home, he like looks into the living room, his dad's like drunk, like his dad's like kind of passed out drunk, and he wakes up and he sees his son and he's like, oh hey, it's like, how's your day? It's like, I love you. And then like the kid's like, fucking hate you, dad, and then he runs out of the house. I was like, why does he hate his dad so much? They never explain why he hates his dad so much. They make a big deal that he hates his dad, but they don't explain why he hates his dad.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
He literally runs away. He literally runs away from home and starts living with the female lead and with her parents because he hates his dad that much.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. And then the female lead is like super uninteresting. She's just dumb. Like not even like her character is actually like written to be dumb. Like the whole joke is that she's kind of dumb.
The main girl, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the female lead.
Huh.
Because Clannad After Story is based on a visual novel, which would have obviously has multiple girls that you could choose and get their ending. So they had to pick one to essentially be the female lead and the one that he ends up with. And I just don't like her. And then they kind of like, the whole thing is like, he's hanging out with her and they're developing their relationship while they're going around visiting every other character's storyline.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like essentially like if you did a light novel and you took the character, you walked into a character's plotline, you took them out of it and just started bringing them on a fantastical journey to everybody else's timeline. It's like, hey, let's visit this place.
Oh my.
And then like the only part I remember of the first season that I hated a lot was which was weirdly enough my favorite character. I don't remember her name, but she's like this girl who like she carves these like wooden starfishes and gives them out to people. And I don't remember her arc very well, but then like it starts to go into this like weird shit where might I add that like not up until now it's been like normal. It's normal life and stuff. But then they get into this girl's arc and like it turns out she's like in a coma and she's a ghost. And people are forgetting about her, so they're trying to like people are forgetting about her, and the two main characters are the only people who remember her, so they're trying to get people to remember her. And then they solve the problem, and then everybody forgets her, and no one remembers her anymore. She shows up for like one scene in Clannad After Story, and then like the main character's like, "You seem oddly familiar." And it's like, probably nothing.
Huh. Yeah, it just seems like the plot didn't know what the fuck it was doing.
Yeah. And then I haven't even touched Clannad After Story. I've just been shitting all over Clannad. I don't know, Clannad After Story is just bad just because, like, he graduates from school, so now it's, like, a weird, like, adult drama on top of, like, the teen angst drama they already have. So, like, they're trying to, like, mix both. You get your teen angst and your fucking, like, adult working, like, kind of, like, struggling from, like, going from high school to adult life drama. But then it, like, all reaches a head, and, like, the final bit, which is, like, the thing I always go to when I talk about how bad Clannad is, where he gets the main girl pregnant, and they have a kid, but she dies during childbirth. Yeah, so she dies during childbirth, and then they go into, like, the next thing, and it's been, like, a couple years have passed, and the girl, like, the daughter that they had is living with the girl's parents, because he kind of abandoned her. Like, the main character abandoned her because she reminded him of his wife, so he's just like, I can't raise her. It's like, I can't do that.
Oh yeah, I forgot how much of a dick that fucking move is.
Yeah, but so he ends up, like, meeting her again, and then, like, he starts to like actually try and spend time with her, mostly because he starts reminding himself of his own dad. He's like, no, I'm not gonna be like my dad.
I'm just gonna abandon my kid.
Yeah, it was like his dad cared more about his kid than he did. He's like, you weren't like your dad, you were worse than your dad, because your dad actually fucking loved you. Fucking troglodyte.
Troglodyte.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not an insult I hear get thrown around a lot.
But then, like,
oh, man.
but then, okay, so then, like, and then there's, like, a thing where they're going on, like, a trip or something. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but they're, like, walking through the snow or something, and she starts dying. Like, the kid starts dying, and then, like, yeah, yeah, the kid starts fucking dying. The guy makes, like, a wish or something, and there's like a previous, like, established concept of these, like, fireflies, like, grant wishes or whatever, and then he wishes, and then one of the fireflies comes, and then it goes back in time during the childbirth, but the wife doesn't die this time. And everybody's happy because she doesn't die.
I forgot about all this because, like, I love when you re-explain it, because I'm, like, remembering all this dumb shit that you've explained before, and my feelings of it just come back. Oh god.
This is like some Josuke being his own savior kind of thing. That's, oh god. Oh man.
Yeah, I was like, if you're gonna kill your main female lead, fucking do it. Like, own up to that shit. Don't retcon it.
Don't cop out after you've given us this horrible aftermath, and then just be like, oh, it's all fixed. What was that you just put us all through? Why did you put us through that then?
Well, because it feels like the character could have done this at any point, and he chose essentially not to.
Yeah. And like, we essentially get a full episode of, like, the main character having to, like, get character development of realizing how shitty of a dad he's been, and the fact that he has to kind of live with the fact that his wife is dead, and he has to, fucking balls up and raise his fucking child, but then like, no, he makes a magic wish and his wife isn't dead, so therefore all of his character development doesn't fucking matter.
He could still be a bad dad, now he just has a good mom to balance it out.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, can I talk about, like, the episode of Clannad I like? To balance
sure.
it out?
Yeah.
Bring it up with what you like about it, because I mean, we keep talking about the good and the bad and all that stuff, so might as well.
Because like I said, just to rephrase this for, like, the people, if anybody's listening, like, the Clannad is just straight up my, like, Clannad After straight up my, like, my most hated anime. But there's one episode of Clannad After Story that's one of my favorite anime episodes ever. I can't give like a specific like episode title or anything, so I don't really keep track of that. But there's this episode that I actually really really like. So like it's when they're still in the school, like before they graduate, and there's like this weird side character that they hang out with every once in a while. She doesn't really add anything. They just kind of like hang out with her every once in a while, and she makes them coffee. Like one of the times they're there, they find that like she's like nursing this guy, like she's like bandaging his wounds, and then like another dude shows up and they're like trying to fight each other, but she like kind of stops it because it turns out like there's these two gangs that are fighting, and she's kind of like their safe zone where she patches them up, but like they're not allowed to fight there. And it turns out like she's the sister of one of the gang leaders. So then like the whole episode is about like they have to like deal with this gang war, and then like the brother's missing. So they have to kind of deal with the repercussions that one of the gang leaders just isn't there during this big ass turf war. And then like
I think I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. And then like it all comes to head in like the coolest anime fight scene, one of the coolest anime fight scenes I've ever fucking seen because of how like kind of real it is, where the main character ends up having to like fist fight the leader of the other gang, and they're in like a ravine, which is really cool, and they're just like beating the shit out of each other. Like it's fucking real. Like they're fucking throwing fists hard. And then and it's just like everybody's watching. It's two big ass it's like two gangs watching, but like they can't really intervene because it's supposed to be a one-on-one fight, so like everybody's just watching. And then and this scene gets me every time because how fucking cool it is, where the other gang leader, the brother, shows up. And then like he starts running down the side of the ravine, and the other gang leader's like, yeah, finally, now I can beat the shit out of this guy. And he throws a punch, and right before the punch connects, you see this look on his face. He's like, oh shit, no. And then the punch connects, and it's the fucking sister.
Oh no.
Yeah, because it turns out the brother died, and she was like kind of trying to keep the gang together in his place. She didn't want everything to fall apart due to her brother's death, but so she couldn't tell anybody that he died. So then it comes to this like really nice ending of the episode where like both gangs are like visiting his grave, which I think is the first episode they introduced the Fireflies.
Huh. Do they do anything with the Fireflies, or do they just bring them up?
I don't know. I think it's the episode they kind of introduced the concept, which later comes back to haunt me. My favorite episode ends up like tangentially connecting to the worst part of the whole series.
Ooh, poetic and tragic at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't describe the episode a lot just 'cause it's been years since I watched this episode. Every once in a blue moon, I'll go back and revisit the one good episode of Clannad.
Jared, I know you said you didn't really have anything, but do you have anything you want to talk about?
I'm not allowed to talk about the one thing that I would like to talk about. So we're saving that for a special episode.
We'll bring it up briefly.
No. I want to honor that agreement that we have.
All right.
I won't talk about Bantora. No matter how much I want to.
Then I guess we could talk about some good shows with bad parts. Because we talked about how Sword Art Online has good parts, but it's just a general bad thing all over. But I mean, even some of the fucking highest gems in our books, like Gurren Lagann, they have episode 3, which is just fucking the weird animation change they did. that was like...
Did a weird animation change in 3?
Do you not remember this?
No.
Oh my god, it is like like for some reason for like I can't remember if it's just 1 or 2 episodes, but the animation style completely changes to like a normal anime style. I think it's because their budget changed or some shit, and fans were pissed. It was so bad looking though, and it's like the only part of Gurren Lagann that I don't like. But like, oh my god, it was so fucking bad.
I don't remember that, to be honest.
When you get a chance, look it up. You'll be like, oh, this is a thing.
I mean, we've talked a lot about things in like relatively good shows that have bad, almost mechanics. It's like Dragon Ball, Naruto. It has the bad power creep. The Sword Art suffers from bad main characters. I guess, yeah, bad main character designs because the side characters are interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
I know there's stuff, but it's hard to pick one because I know that there's like there are the shows that like they're good, but they have bits that are just not either consistent or up to snuff or relevant, I guess, to the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if I could think of like anything like that. I definitely thought of one that fucking like got me like hard with like that kind of thing. I'll talk about it later since I'll let you guys try and talk about something. So if I just talked about Clannad for like probably like 20 fucking minutes.
I mean, it's just like a lot of really good shows have minor bad things that you can nitpick at. Like Big O, the ending of Big O was really weird. It's a really good show, but it's just like for those of you who haven't seen Big O, because I know it's kind of obscure. Imagine Batman, but instead of like being Batman, he just has a big fucking mech that he goes around in. Because that's pretty much just the basis of that show. But like the ending of it's really weird, and I remember it made me like question my sanity when I was younger. I was like, what the fuck does this mean? Am I losing my mind? And then you got stuff like I guess overly complicated plots are one of my pet peeves, where it's like the plot is so fucking complicated you don't know what's going on. Like Ergo Proxy kind of suffers from this, where there's so much going on, but it's like a really good story at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know, like, as much as I love the show Ancient Magus Bride, the only thing I ever feel let down by is just, like, it's just the pacing. Because, like, it's a great world, the art is fantastic, and I love the setting, but it's just, like, it just seems slow at times. But that's my only complaint that I have about it. That's the only thing that I think that makes it... that keeps it on the edge from being like a great anime. Like, it is certainly a good anime. It is a strong, good anime, but it's just like its pacing sometimes is just slow. But then you have the episodes where they're having to deal with there's a spirit that's like caught up in like a lake, and it's basically a malicious evil spirit because it's the spirit of a guy who is trying to save his wife from dying. So he made a deal with basically like a very powerful mage. It's an alchemist. It's specifically an alchemist because alchemy and magic are very different in that world. But he made a deal with an alchemist. He's like, okay, well, give me all of these things and I can help your wife. So apparently cats are inherently magical in that setting, even though it's like it's normal real world. Like it's our world, just also with magic and alchemy. So he ends up murdering a lot of cats. It is gruesome at times and horrifying, but the lengths that this character goes through and the emotional struggle he goes through to try and save his wife, and then it ends up not saving her because the alchemist was trying to do something very, very fucked up, and he was like, oh, well, I just kind of wanted to see what that would do. Shame. And then you just see the mental breakdown of this character as he just starts doing this experiment more and more, just trying to get her to basically come back to life, and he's just slow descent until the cats eventually actually end up killing him. Because one of them breaks out and then frees all the rest, and they end up just attacking him.
Oh.
And it is just that episode is stuck with me. Like, it's such a very well visually shot anime, and like the art style already is very good for it, but just seeing there's just kind of loss of sanity from this one character, and this is all seen in like a flashback kind of thing, like as the main character is kind of like dealing with the main spirit, she's just getting its memories, and then the woman that he was trying to save is also caught up in that thing because she was associated with the negative force that caused it. But eventually it's they do basically a blessing, and then that spirit kind of just finds her husband in there, and then they end up going to limbo.
There's a lot going on here.
It's great show, little slow at times, but very good.
A show that I really love that no one watched for some fucking reason is Samurai 7 from 2004. I have to say 2004 because Samurai 7 is actually a really old tale that has gotten said like 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
But Samurai 7...
I was going to say, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's the old tale of like these villagers get 7 samurai to fight back like this gang that's like taking their food and shit.
Gotcha.
But they like remade it in like a futuristic like I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it's like just a really shitty future. They have like flying ships, but it's like people are still in poverty, and it's like it's really interesting. But the 7 samurai that they chose, half of them are really fucking cool, and half of them have no personality whatsoever. Like, there's 2 that I could tell you nothing about other than their character design. The main character is the most boring piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. He's like a wannabe samurai, but they still bring him along anyways. And then you have like this fucking badass one, like the main older guy that's like teaching the younger one. He's like a fucking badass. He's like so cool looking. You got like this mechanic guy who he's like a fucking, you know, like a mechanic samurai. Like he knows how to fucking do shit, but he prefers his like other weapons. And then you have one that's literally a robot who's just like this big bro guy. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's kill shit. You know, he's got like this big chainsaw samurai sword. He's so sick. And then I can't tell you anything about the other ones because I don't fucking know anything about them. But it's like the show is great. These characters suck ass though. Like I get it's like you kind of have to have 7 samurai for this story. Because it's the whole point of it, but it's like you guys underdeveloped half of the fucking cast here. Oh, I gotta rewatch that at some point. Highly recommended, but it's half the cast is eh.
That was talking about the thing I realized when we got onto this topic, because of just a really bad art, like. I hate to say that it's an arc because it actually is a really bad arc of a otherwise like really good and like grounded show. It's this anime called Amachu, which is like it's about this girl who moves to the countryside, and she gets like really engrossed into diving because her friend is a diver, so she like starts to try and learn how to dive. Mm-hmm. And like that's essentially what the whole anime is about. It's like kind of like a comedy slice of life mixed with like diving stuff, and it's like it's super beautiful.
Like diving as in like deep sea diving, or just like diving out from the board?
Deep sea diving, like scuba diving.
Okay. There's like in my brain it's like I'm fairly sure that he's talking about deep sea diving, but I was like I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the other anime, but the writer made this other anime that was also looked really beautiful. Like it looks super good. But then there's this one arc that makes me wonder what they were thinking when they made this goddamn arc. There's in the second season there's a part where like it goes into like they're preparing for this like the cultural festival or whatever. You know, every anime's got to have the cultural festival thing. So the episode like takes place like they're staying overnight to build cultural festival stuff, and it starts out pretty funny because like all the characters are doing kind of funny things, and then like one of the side characters, she meets this guy who tries to like take her somewhere, but then like her teacher comes and then like the teacher's like and like shoos him away, and there's like it's like don't you mess with that guy. If you see that guy, don't fucking go with him. And she's like, why? It's like, oh, his name's Peter. Don't fucking mess with him. And then
Okay.
And then like they end up going to this like okay, and they go into this like weird thing. It was like students during the school cultural festival go missing when they go to sleep and they meet Peter. And like the teacher explains that she met Peter as well, because like Peter's been in the school for a long time.
The fuck?
And then it gets worse. so they're like, I don't remember how to get to this point, but eventually they're like Peter's in the dream world, so we need to find some way to get into the dream world. If only we had like someone who's really good at dreaming, which turns out to be the main character, because there's an episode beforehand which was silly, but it was like it was kind of dumb, but it was silly, so it worked, where it was like the main girl was like a really good lucid dreamer. But then they bring it back up in this, where she's like, I'm a really good lucid dreamer, I can get you guys to the dream world.
The fuck?
So she helps them all lucid dream to get to the dream world, and they get to the fucking... Huh?
This is still the diving anime,
yes!
right? I haven't
It's an anime about diving!
Okay, I'm just glad. I was just hoping I hadn't lost the plot.
Oh, what the fuck?
Okay, so they go to the dream world, and the dream world is like the city is like a city, except it's like starting to flood because there's an airship above it that's like pouring water out.
Uh-huh.
The teacher's like very melancholic about it. She's like, I haven't been in the dream world in a long time. It's like, I remember this place. And I think they call it Wonderland, because Peter's supposed to be named after Peter Pan, so it's Wonderland.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, we got to get to the airship, and then like they end up flying because the girl's really good at lucid dreaming, so she can fly like a witch. So they get up there, and then they encounter Peter, and then like they're like, we need to stop Peter. Like, we need to stop Peter. We need to close Dreamland forever. And then I don't remember how they get to this point, but then they realize that Peter is a dream character. Like, Peter was created when a baby was left on a shrine step, and then like the baby died because it couldn't cry, so no one found the baby, and it starved. So they're like, Peter, you need to cry. You need to cry so they discover you.
The fuck is going on?
I don't know. Like, I was watching it and I don't know what was happening.
I am so dreadfully confused.
They get the baby to cry, which causes the baby to be discovered, so Dreamland stops to exist. Because Dreamland was created by the baby as it was dying.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then after they beat Dreamland and all that, it's over. And then like they go to the shrine, and there's like, so this is the place where Peter was. And then like this one side character who's like this teacher who showed up like every once in a while. He shows up, and then he's like, he thanks them all, and it turns out that he's Peter the whole time.
What the fuck?
Wait, what?
There's this side character who's just kind of this comic relief guy who's just like who's like kind of this like interesting teacher character that they introduced like in this arc, and it turns out he was Peter the whole fucking time.
What the fuck?
Because like I guess it was like some weird time paradox where like Peter both died and didn't die at the same time.
Schrodinger's Peter.
It's an anime about diving.
Oh my god.
I don't... Although, somehow in all that, you reminded me about one anime that I actually... It is not bad. It's actually one of the more highly recommended ones. The dub for it, however, is the worst possible thing I have ever heard. And I like dubs. I've given a lot of forgiveness to dubs.
The Trigun?
But the dub for Trigun is so bad. The main character especially is so bad. I can't describe it accurately enough. Just it instantly ruined me wanting to actually watch that anime. Bad.
It's that bad.
The main character's voice is that bad. Like I forced myself to finish the first episode, and after that I'm like, I can't do this. I can't watch the rest of the show with this person's voice, and it's the main characters. That's not good.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That I could not stand the main character's voice. I can't describe fully the reasoning. I just know that like every time I heard that voice, I just wanted to punch a wall. Like it's painful. Like, you know, the nails on a chalkboard, that kind of thing. Just
There's something that is like Inferno Cop. It's bad, but it's intentionally bad.
I want to not bring this up.
But Inferno Cop's so good though.
I don't like it. It's too far nonsensical for me.
It is a very nonsensical. It is a very
It's
specific anime.
It is in the same category to me as a lot of those stupid comedy movies from 2000s. And when I say that, I feel that there is a specific genre of stupid comedy movies. Not just comedy, but they are specifically targeted for stupidity. Like...
Yeah, I mean, like, if you've seen just some, I guess, meme compilations or anything like that, you've probably seen just a clip from it where it's like, he shoots a bullet at a monster, and he's like, oh, I'm impervious to bullets, so it bounces off him and heads back towards Inferno Cop. He's like, oh, well, so am I, and then the bullet bounces off of him, and the monster goes, oh no, and then he gets hit by the bullet and dies.
That's my favorite scene out of the whole thing. That's so fucking funny.
And then it fucking ends with him being like, truly a worthy opponent. It's like, what?
I will give you that. That's the only time I did laugh.
So stupid.
There are two.
That part was.
There are
funny.
two scenes in Inferno Cop that gets me. It's that one, and then like I think I love the fact that how they completely skip over the entirety of their trip in hell, and they make a big deal out of it as well. Like, they act like they had this great adventure in hell, but they skip all of it, and I find that fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the characters stays behind because, like, they learned so much in hell, but you know nothing about what happened in hell.
And Inferno Cop also makes an appearance in Space Patrol Luluco, too, because they're made by the same company.
Kind of. Because there's the police chief who is essentially just Inferno Cop. Like, he looks exactly like Inferno Cop.
No, they just straight up go to, or she meets up with Inferno Cop at some point. Yeah, like she's in like the weird, not underworld, but in like some fucking dystopian thing, and Inferno Cop's just like sitting by a fire.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, because she dies. She dies of heartbreak and meets Inferno Cop.
Oh god, and then she even says like, "Oh, you look like the chief."
Yeah, and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Oh god.
Man, I'm sad that we can't talk about Luluco right now because we have to talk about bad things. I just want to talk about Luluco for a long time.
Talk about Luluco next time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we can think of? That's pretty... Aside from the big ones that we can't talk about right now, I can't really think of much else. There's like objectively trash stuff like Keijo and Jet Ski and
Jet Ski. Oh,
a lot of lewd anime is usually pretty trashy.
I was gonna say no. My issue with Jet Ski isn't even the lewdness; it's that awful 3D.
Yeah,
it is that horrible 3D animation.
The unnecessary 3D.
That is bad. That is just straight up bad. Yeah, unnecessary and bad.
I mean, if
it was just bad, okay, but it's unnecessary and bad.
I hate 3D in anime in general. Beastars does it okay, and so does Ruby, but like I hate when they try to blend it, like where one character is CGI and nobody else is, or something like Goblin Slayer did that shit, and I hated it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Berserk.
The couple of weird parts. Yeah, where you're just like Goblin Slayer. I didn't notice it until like someone brought it up. I'm like, oh. Yeah, no, he is kind of 3D. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, like, thankfully it's not too noticeable, but it has some moments where you're just like, this looks so bad.
Yeah, especially in Goblin Slayer. I'm just like, yeah, Goblin Slayer, I didn't notice it too much.
It's just
I've watched
unnecessary.
Ruby
I
from the beginning,
don't.
So I can accept some kind of 3D animation, but yeah, like jet ski, it's unnecessary. I haven't watched Berserk because I purposely stay away from that one.
Me and Tyler watched Berserk
No.
one one time when I was over at his house. It was a fucking journey.
Never again.
Anytime I think about Berserk, I just think about the reboot they did and like the really funny scene of him walking.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's so just like hopping up and down.
It gets me every time. It just doesn't make any sense. How can he possibly walk like that?
I don't get what they're trying, like, do they think, like, oh, this is some cool stylized thing? It's like, Beastars does it well, because every fucking character is that way.
Yeah. I mean, there are times watching Beastars that I forget that it's 3D animated.
Because they do it so well. They know what they're doing.
It's very smooth. It's very good.
Except for, like, the first scene. After, like, the one, what's his face? The Lego, no, not Lego Sheet. The fucking Tim. After Tim's whole thing, the first scene with, like, the girls saying they were going to go get lunch is, like, laggy and weird for some reason.
Yeah.
That still may just been the version of that we.
No, because I watched it 2 different times on 2 different sites, and it
Oh, it
was
still had that?
both
Oh, okay.
things had it, so I know it's the show itself. Other than that, though, really well done.
I know this is off anime, but I had that exact same thing with the very first episode of Mandalorian. That show is great. I'm gonna quickly get over it, but there is a CG part at the very beginning where a speeder comes up with a droid in it. That's the most weird CG thing in that show. Alright, dropping it. It's not anime. That one is firmly in the non-anime category.
Yeah, it's not even anime adjacent either. Like Final Fantasy and stuff. Like
No.
it's about as like left as you can get.
Baby Yoda though.
I guess I should bring this up real quick now, just because state of the podcast kind of statement.
Oh, no. Are we getting a union finally?
No, you fuck off with that.
No rights.
I was just gonna say, we're definitely. This isn't like a maybe thing. This is definitely going to happen. We're going to reboot the podcast at some point, where it will then become. It'll still be Variety's a Slice of Life, but we're gonna add like a thing.
We're going to be true to our name.
Yeah, it'll literally be anything we feel like. So it'll range from, something like The Mandalorian or video games or a specific thing. It'll still be a genre or a specific thing, but the genres and specific things are going to be a hell of a lot more broad.
Just get as weird with it as possible. Like the first thing we're
Yeah.
talking about reboot is fucking like wrestling. we're just talking about fucking WWE for 2 hours.
Fuck yeah. But I feel like that it's going to add a lot more life to it, because I mean this whole thing did start out as an anime podcast because Jarrett talking about Ruby, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. And now getting more into it, I feel like we have a good enough system down where we can expand upon this very effortlessly. But we got a lot on our plate at the moment.
I was just say,
So-
and we have enough anime to fuel us for a while.
We
so.
before we even started recording, we had enough ideas to last us 2 full years of content. I think we'd still have the seasonal special just to keep true with our name.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking we might do this soon because I've thought of something. Maybe have like short specials. Because I thought of a show that we could do, not a show, but like a short anime thing that we could just talk about for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that. Just put out a little short, something that could possibly hook people if they don't know what's going on. Just a discussion-based thing. So,
Okay.
it being Shelter. Yeah, because I'm like, we can't get an hour out of that, but we might be able to get like 20, 30 minutes out of it.
Okay.
So,
I'm fine with it. Like I say, I still look forward to our debate.
yeah, we got to schedule that soon. I got to finish Korra, and you got to rewatch.
And I gotta.
It's just because we're both like not really wanting to do this. We want the debate. We don't want to put in the effort.
Yeah. I don't want to have to watch back through Bentora, but I have to honor it. I have to know what I'm talking about. It's the best of my abilities with that show.
Also, that being said, the way that we have this set up, we have a giant list of shit we talk about, and we plan it that way in advance. Like, we have until fucking, God, like middle of next year, April of next year, more or less planned out. So we're just trying to work through it. So we'll probably trim down all the shit that we don't care about to get through the anime fast enough, so we can assemble the Chaika Exodia and reboot the podcast. So, yeah. State of the channel address over, but is there anything else we need to talk about before we end it? We all think we're good?
I think we're good. I think I got my venting out.
Good way to end off the year of 2019 and bring in the new decade.
And then we start on a much happier note next episode.
With the best anime, so...
Best/favorite, let's be honest.
Yeah,
it's gonna be much more favorite.
Yeah, I'll change it to favorite animes instead of best, because everything's objective.
Yeah.
We were shitting on Naruto earlier.
Yeah. It's like, if y'all think this episode is a bit shorter, no man, the next episode's gonna be so
3 hours long.
We should just break it up now. Yeah, we each just get an hour to talk about all the animes.
That's way too much. I'm gonna have to trim a lot of fat out of that episode. Or we could break it up into a part 1 and 2, depending, but I doubt that. So
maybe.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. You can find links to everything in the link dump, along with our Twitters and other social medias, if you feel like following us. God damn it. As always, we post twice a month, and occasionally we'll have a special episode, so be sure to stick around for that. Special episode possibly coming about Shelter, the animated short. Next year, be sure to join us, for we'll be talking about our favorite animes.
Oh, yeah.
And as always...
Oh, yeah, we'll be in 2020.
I know, it'll be crazy.
The future is now.
Oh, man.
As always, have a good day, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Aaron.